I'm John Koon, and this is Vidalia City School News, an inside look at the happenings of the Vidalia City School system. Today, my guest is Chris Carroll, counselor at Vidalia High School. Chris, first of all, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to come by and talk with us and sharing a little insight on what's going on the counselor side of it. Obviously, in 29 years of education, you have not ever seen anything like what's going on. So tell everybody how this has affected you, not only as a counselor, but as a person.
Well, it's nice to be here, Mr. Koon. I appreciate you asking me. Well, when the last day when the kids were here, March 11th, we were going on an extended weekend, and then we came in and the news started trickling in, and we started talking as a faculty and staff, and we thought perhaps we'd be out for a few days, and then it was extended. And then it was extended, and the first leadership meeting Mr. Sharp had with a group of us, we came back here and we were in the school. And then the next one, he said, well, we're going to do this one virtual. And I think it's been a dawning process for a few weeks of, this is really serious. And initially it was like, well, I needed a little break. And then it, the stage went to, this can't be happening. We're missing too much. I miss the kids. Seniors are missing really good weeks of their high school career. So I think then it became a little grieving process. And so personally, I've been through stages of missing it, feeling what can I do, grieving for the kids who are missing it. And now I think recently it's more like, we've got to jump in and we've got to create something. We've got to create educational processes. And now I think we're back to work better in the new normal.
How do you, talking about the students, how do you think this has affected them emotionally? And have they reached out to you guys in the counselor's office during this time?
Working with a lot of dual enrollment students, I have a good relationship with many of them through email. So I do get regular emails from students. Generally, it's business emails. It's not discussing their feelings. How do I think? I think kids are resilient. I think they bounce back. I think in youth, that's a great factor of your youth. You can bounce back. I think for all of us, however, we will recall this and we'll feel like we'll never forget this. I mean, for one, and how it changes lifestyle as we know it, work as we know it, school as we know it. It's like everything else. We'll see. We'll see. But if I do want to say, I'm always available by email. I'm responding to my email. I'm checking my email first thing every morning, just like I did when we were coming to the building. So I will respond to your emails. If you have transcript requests or class requests, we're trying to be just as available as we were without you being able to walk into our office.
Obviously, you guys have been working towards trying to finalize how the end of the year is going to look as far as grading. Give us a little update on the progress that you may have made.
All right, this is a very timely question. Mr. Sharp is releasing today his letter to parents and students about the grading process. It'll go out in a Power School blast, which is how important information is sent out to everybody who has an email address through Power School, and then it'll be shared in social media, Facebook, and so we want parents and students to read that, and Mr. Sharp has asked me to mention that any questions that they have refer to him. It's his letter after he's thought about it and dwelled on it and discussed it for a good deal of time, how he's going to handle grading, and he's releasing that today.
We talked about the impact of the students individually and how that's affecting them. What about the learning process? How do you think that's going to affect them in the future, especially the ones who may have been struggling a little bit, just say from Algebra 1 and knowing they're going to Algebra 2, and may have thought they needed a little more help? Are you guys going to formulate a remedial process to be able to help them when they get back to school or even during the summer?
Yes. Mr. Sharp it's an ongoing process working with his department chairs about how they're going to assist remediate students to make sure they're on track. And it's a combination of some free summer help. The latest iteration is free summer help and some remediation when we return, hopefully when we return July 31st. That being said, I want to encourage students, and I may say this several times in your interview with me, teachers are active on Google Classroom, and if students are not hooked in yet, there is some learning still going on. Google Classroom has become our method of providing education during this time. We have a lot of students, and I'm speaking to students who may not be active on Google Classroom. You have a lot of your peers who are very active in Google Classroom. Our teachers are when they're putting out information, they're putting out remediation, they're putting out work, and they're working very hard to keep that updated and to keep their students engaged.
You referenced seniors a few minutes ago, and obviously our hearts go out to them because they are missing one of the greatest times of their life that they will remember, and the activities. But what about education-wise? Do you think this is going to have an effect on them, being that they've missed basically the whole last 9 weeks?
Mm-hmm. Well, students, we have a couple different things going on. Of course, there's the main thing I think is missing senior year emotionally, psychologically, educationally. Of course, they're going to miss the day-to-day learning and econ and advanced composition and pre-calculus that was going on in the classroom. Teachers are trying to keep them going to prepare them for college and career, to continue the mission of Vidalia City Schools and Vidalia High School. Dual enrollment students are still continuing. Many of those classes were online, and I have an email correspondence with Ms. Rowell at STC virtually every day, sometimes multiple times a day. So they are still active. They are still getting their college credit, which is transferable. I did want to mention for seniors, if they have not already heard, that SAT, the College Board, has stopped SAT for the remainder of the year, and the Board of Regents, therefore, went to a non-testing enrollment process for this year's freshmen due to the emergency situation, and they are enrolling students. They will admit students based on GPA without the scoring, and we've had a good number of students take advantage of that. We've had a flurry of college applications. I'm still continuing to send transcripts. Our seniors at their point in their life, young adults now, by the time you're a senior, they're coping well as much as they can. They're coping with the business of what am I going to do next, I think, as well as they possibly can. And I'm impressed in their engagement in those who are wanting to go to college, how interested they are. They're still applying. I'm still sending transcripts. Those who are going to work, hopefully they're ending out and finishing their education so they can prepare for work. But it's a good group of seniors. I'm impressed with their resilience and their positivity as much as we can possibly ask for.
Let's go to the other end of the spectrum, which there's a group that's going to be entering high school next year, the 8th graders. What are you guys doing about them, getting them ready, prepared to be able to move into high school as far as registration and things like that go?
Well, in Ms. Coleman, my co-counselor, in collaboration with Dr. Reed at the middle school, and Ms. Toole, who does a lot of social media and does in the guidance office, she does our social media presence and arranging Google Classroom and Zoom meetings. They have released this week a Google Classroom for the 8th graders coming into 9th grade. They're doing registration. We're going to do it through Google Classroom. We had Ms. Toole hosted, Ms. Coleman was the moderator, and I was also involved last night with a Zoom meeting with 8th grade students. And I'm impressed with that group because we had 46 of that class participate in a Zoom meeting last night talking about electives. And they had various questions. It was very helpful for me. We've been in multiple Zoom meetings with staff here, but when there is a moderated question and answer system and using the chat was new for me. It was learning for me, and I thought it was a great meeting. And so 8th grade students, Google Classroom to pick your electives, and you'll have a schedule when we return.
Sounds like you guys continuing to do a great job and pushing through to try to make sure that it's as normal as possible here. Thanks for coming by and talking with us. Before we close, is there anything that you would like to say on a personal note to the students or even to the staff?
Well, of course, I miss everybody. When it initially began, and I was coming up trying to come into my office real quick because I had to grab something, and then I'd get out. There's nothing lonelier than a school without students, faculty, and staff. It's a lonely place. It's a big building, of course. I've been impressed with the toughness of our student body and our faculty. I am just learning to get better at this new normal, and I hope they are all as well. And perhaps in the future, we'll be more engaged with our online processes that are out there, and we'll be better for it. Let's just all grow from this and be educated by this process and get better for it for the future. I miss everybody. I hope they have a good end of the year. Continue on Google Classroom. Follow us on social media. We'll be fine.
Chris Carroll, thanks for coming by.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mr. Koon.